be doing something a little bit different. I'm gonna be doing a little news section because of all the recent happenings in AI. The whole world of AI has been seemingly to turn on its head, or at least that's what everybody online wants to believe. Everybody's been rushing to everything AI recently to see what they can do to make money. And a lot of the AIs are becoming like overwhelming. For instance, I use Midjourney, and Midjourney went from free to paid only. A lot of other AIs have went that way, and they've also quite a bit slowed down because of the rise of use of them. Even though a lot of the stuff that you would use them for, some of them you just kinda could use other things for, and some of them don't really make much of anything useful. Everybody's currently using Midjourney to create t-shirts, but you have to do a lot to get it to use a t-shirt because it's kind of more appropriate for logo design and designs for images that you're using digitally than stuff that's for print work. But anyway, moving on, because recently Google announced their new I/O initiative with the developer conference, and they announced all these AI technologies that's been hitting the market, and everyone's recently gone, Google has won the AI race. And well, no, they haven't. Actually, Google is currently the kid on the tricycle when everybody else has a Harley Davidson. And it's usually the other way around. And that is the reason why during this recent developer conference, everything focused on AI. It's not because Google's ahead of everybody, it's because Google's way behind everybody. Google has one of their new, well, it's not new, it's something they've been on the development for almost 2 years now. They have Palm, which is basically ChatGPT. Been on development for like 2 years and they still haven't released anything to the public. Now all of a sudden they want to release it to the public because ChatGPT is a thing, and ChatGPT is on steroids in comparison to Google's Palm action. I've used the Google Palm. It is something called Brad. And I've used Brad. Brad is retarded. I'm not being mean. Brad is kind of stupid. Brad is an over-intelligent kid that doesn't know anything, basically. Ask it a question, it will give you a correct answer. You ask it to do something, it will do it in its own way. You ask it to correct I asked it to correct the essay I wrote just to see how it worked. It corrected the essay for somebody else. I'm not joking. The essay it sent me back had nothing to do with what I sent it. And I didn't even want it to change anything. I just wanted to check spelling to see how well it would work it. And it just sent me back some random stuff. I sent it a little short story that was a couple paragraphs long and said, hey, make this funny. It didn't make it funny, it made it all philosophical and something completely different. It works. Palm works very well, just like ChatGPT. It's able to come back with a lot more information than ChatGPT. But how accurate that information is, or how on point it is completely lacking. It is not even close to what ChatGPT does, and not even like ChatGPT 4. I'm talking about the original ChatGPT. Runs circles around Palm. It may have a much larger database and it may have access to more information, but when it comes to understanding you and doing something in a more human-like way, it's not really, well, it's there, but it's not there at the same time. It's more like Palm has a more artificial intelligence towards consciousness than ChatGPT does. So for Palm, when you ask it to do something, it responds like a person would. So it basically does what a person would, except this person doesn't have to do what you want it to. Like a real person. So it responds what it thinks you want, and then it just does that. And if you say no, it does, well, oh well, and it doesn't correct itself. It just says, okay, move it on, basically. The other problem with Palm is every time you leave the window, everything gets lost. You can't actually train Palm to do something like you do with ChatGPT when you use something for a certain amount of time. Like I have ChatGPT open in multiple windows, so like I use it to like do spelling corrections on a lot of the stuff I write now, because it's a lot faster to just have it check the spelling and send it back than to actually go through and do spelling in Word. So now every time I use that window, like basically I just send the document or paste it in. I don't even have to ask it a request, and then just sends me back the corrected version. Sometimes I'll ask it to do other things, and basically it does those things correctly now every single time without fail. Whereas Palm or Brad, you have to redo it over and over again. You have to be specific in your question every single time. And you have to be as detailed as possible with your question for it to actually do what you want it to do. So that's the problem with Brad versus ChatGPT, which is actually how most of Google's AI technology is currently working. The technology works and it's really good, except you need to be super specific to get it to do anything, or it does what it wants, just like an intelligent person would. It just does whatever it feels like doing at the moment. Or something else that I've noticed is a lot of Google's AI technology that everybody's talking about that's going to take over and be like the number one thing in like 2 months, it's not, because most of their AI technology requires you to do programming of some kind and requires you to develop it in some way, because most of their software that does any kind of AI technology is currently on their cloud service. Like, they have a speech synthesis that is very good. It is almost as good as Murph, because so far Murph is the one that I found that has the best speech because Bark is currently not available for anybody to test. It just has their thing and everybody's like, it's great, but at the same time Bark has like a lot of background noise and everything to make it sound more realistic, but at the same time you take out the background noise, it sounds a little more robotic, because I do actually run it through processing for audio to see what it sounds like after, and it sounds pretty much just like Murph does from the thing. So that's that. Google has a version that's very close to it. It uses some of the same technology. In fact, Murph uses some of Google's synthesis technology, and so does a lot of these other companies. They use the WaveNet synthesis and the DeepMind technology that Google does have in their system, and then they make it a lot easier to use and more user-friendly, because to use Google's you have to use a cloud service. It is actually quite cheap. You have to use the cloud service, and then you have to put your stuff in. Then you have to use the SSML code in to get it to do anything realistically. And in order for you to say, have it speak and take pauses and all that stuff, you have to write that all in the code. So you're not just inputting text and being like, okay, say this. If you just input the text, paragraphs, periods, spaces, everything just gets read continuously as if the person has no idea of what a comma or a period is, or even takes a breath. So it stays in a relative human-like tone, but it just reads continuously without pause. I use it because I already had a cloud database, and I've been experimenting with the synthesis from Google for about 4 years now, and I still haven't figured out how to use it. Yeah, I don't have very much programming knowledge or time to figure out programming. But that's the thing, a lot of Google's technology that's came out recently that they've announced is really good, but it lacks refinement, it lacks a usability actually. All their software is going into the developer end that they're releasing, that everybody's making a huge deal out of, but it requires actual user interface that we can, such like ChatGPT, we can just ask it questions and it'll learn from what we asking. With Brad, you can do the same thing, but as soon as you leave and come back, you just have to start over. It keeps a history of your stuff, but at the same time, it doesn't learn from it. You can't specifically get it to learn one thing, and every time you use it, be content with that one thing, right? So it still has a long way. It still has mountains to climb before it can get to ChatGPT. And with ChatGPT advancing as fast as it is, with ChatGPT God mode, there's the assistant ChatGPT, and then there's Auto GPT. Google has milestones to catch up to before they can even compete with ChatGPT anymore. They're combining with Adobe to create Firefly, so it's an image generation system, but at the same time, based on their announcement, they're kind of trying to put safeguards into the image generation system to tell you what you can and can't generate, and all kinds of stuff that they're trying to put in there, because they're trying to be like, oh, well, the rise of AI generated images is gonna make the world different. But at the same time, that's what Photoshop did. As soon as Photoshop was invented, being able to tell what's real and what's not disappeared out of the realm. So AI generated images aren't really changing anything. It's just making it faster and accessible to anyone. And people are saying, well, Midjourney has things to go on. And I'm saying, Midjourney has nothing to worry about right now. The problem with everybody at Midjourney is everybody jumping on Midjourney thinking it's just an end-all gold mine, and they're clogging up the service. They don't really know what they're doing, and then people are trying to like sell everything off Midjourney right off the bat. And then everybody's getting mad at everybody because of it. So there's actually a bunch of lawsuits and litigations going on in courts now because of Midjourney trying to work on the copyright issue of AI generated images. And that's something that I thought was kind of on the moot point, which my next video is actually going to cover the AI generated issues, AI generated like stories and images and stuff like that, and break it down of what's going to happen really quickly that everybody thinks is not going to happen, but it's going to happen because this has happened before. From the invention of programming to computers, everything. This happens every time a new technology starts to take place. And I'm going to break it down really quickly on what's going to actually happen. But anyway, yeah, back to the point. Google has announced quite a lot of technology, but they haven't like taken over the AI wars. They haven't won the AI wars. In fact, the only thing that they have currently that is more advanced and better working than any other AI that's currently out there is MedPalm, which is supposed to be a new thing that helps doctors and anyone. You ask it questions, you give it your symptoms and stuff like that, and it will return diagnosis to better accurately diagnose diseases. The only problem with MedPalm is it's when a selected group of hospitals and people testing it that are chosen by Google, which I found kind of stupid because my wife is in medical school. She teaches medical school and she does medical research on COVID for one and autism for two, which is something that this would actually help them do research with quite well. Except there's no way into MedPalm unless Google finds you and asks you to join, which is kind of a dumb thing because you would think if you're trying to develop something for the medical research world, you would make it open and any medical researcher can apply to it and be like, hey, this is what I do for medical research. Would you like to help me? And you can just be like, hey, yeah, you can join. Here's how you join. Here's some credentials. We'll help you with this and we can make our software better. But no, instead, they just select a certain group of people and they're going to focus it only on that, which kind of makes no sense. Especially seeing that my wife does research, but she's also associated with the faculty, so if she got access to it, she would be able to give it to an entire school and they would be able to use it. And the school would more likely use it if she asks them to use it. And there's a ton of people like her who are in the faculty position she's in at every single school that if they were to find out and if they were just to get access to it, they can get it to medical research for hundreds of schools. Even doctors' offices would get it because doctors, in case people don't know, doctors don't generally go out and do research like that. It's usually the grad students and it's the nurses that find stuff like this for the doctors, and then the doctors start using it because doctors generally don't have time to go research and use technology like this. So the fact that Google decided to keep their stuff on the hush-hush like everything else to use, it's kind of like, yeah, you may think Google is kind of weird. But then again, it goes along with Google's how they normally do everything. They keep everything secret until they try to be at the front of everything, try to be in control of everything. But this time, it backfired because they waited too long this time. Because Google had the AI synthesis stuff for realistic text-to-speech. They had AIs running with Google Assistant. They had MedPalm for 2 years now, I think. They had all this technology already made and developed to help people with AI technology, but none of it was announced to the public, none of it was in developer. They kept it secret, trying to be the first one to break the technology. Except OpenAI broke the technology first, and OpenAI sucked when it first came out, but now OpenAI is on top. There's no way you can catch up with that. Google has a ton of work to do to catch up with OpenAI. Like, they're doing all this right now because they're running scared because OpenAI, with their new release, release the same new releases with their upgraded version of ChatGPT as Google was making their announcements. Not only did OpenAI made releases, Midjourney made releases, a whole slew of other AI software made releases all around when Google made their update. So Google's update was cool, but the releases that all these people made Google's update look like a tricycle in comparison to a Harley Davidson. And I'm not even joking, like, their stuff is just no way on the same level. Google can't even catch up with the stuff they're putting out right now. It has nothing. I tried to use a bunch of their stuff saying, oh yeah, maybe I'm gonna replace some of the other AI things that I use, but I'm like, you know what? No, I don't have time for this. I'm not going through a learning curve, trying to learn programming, trying to learn all this stuff just to use a software that isn't working as well as what I already have. So yeah, the new Google update is great, but it does lack a lot. It is not as fast, it is not as good, it does not work as well. Because yeah, one thing that I noticed is everybody was talking about how Palm or Brad is so much faster than ChatGPT. By the end of the day, ChatGPT was actually running circles around Palm because it has slowed down because everybody's trying to use it to see that it's working better than ChatGPT, but it was slowing down. Their response time was now lacking. Like, I would type a simple query, like I asked it, oh, what wall filter does my car use? It took 30 seconds to respond. ChatGPT had a response in 4 seconds. That is a way different response time. So yeah, Brad was supposed to like put ChatGPT to shame and like run circles around ChatGPT, but Brad is like a toddler playing in a fence. He just has access to a bunch of information, and that's it. That's all I see the difference is. It just has more information than ChatGPT. But anyway, that's it for now. I predict that Google is going to stay in this place. It's not going to catch up to any of the AIs. The other AIs that are currently out, they're going to be running circles around Google for years to come. In fact, Google might be replaced because there's already a ChatGPT powered assistant that does everything a Google Assistant does, but a lot better. I didn't get a chance to try it yet, but even just using ChatGPT alone and its outdated models, it works better and it works a lot faster. So I'm looking forward to other people's releases. I'm not really looking forward to Google's releases because their stuff is kind of but I am looking forward to a lot of the releases that are coming out recently, especially the new releases with ChatGPT and running them on your own server, because I'm about to try and run one on my own server and see how that works out. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll get the other response a little bit later because I actually have quite a bit to talk about for that one. Anyway, see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video and share it with all the people because I need more views and subscribers. Guys, have a good day. Bye.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.